This video is called Goat Kidding 101, where I'm just going to share with you what we've learned over the past several years about goat pregnancy and kidding and also newborn care. Now this is just going to be very basic. There's so much to know and we certainly don't know nearly everything. But these are just some things that we've encountered. I'm going to share with you some of our experiences and hopefully it's informational and helpful to people out there. So first I want to talk about before pregnancy. You only want to breed the does that are in very good health. That means that they have a low worm count where they don't have parasites that are causing anemia or anything and their bodies are not stressed. So if you have a healthy doe and you want to breed her, she has to be the right age, the right weight, and then you can consider breeding her. Now, depending on what breed of goat it is, for example, these La Manchas are dairy goats. La Manchas are seasonal breeders. That means they only come into heat in cool weather. Like right now, this would be a good breeding time for La Manchas. Other breeds of goats, such as Boer goats, can be year-round breeders, so they can come into heat throughout the year. So depending on what goat you're going to be raising, you need to know, well, when can they get pregnant? When can I plan to breed them? So if you have a healthy goat, she's going into heat, and you have a buck, and you breed them, you need to make sure that your pregnant doe is getting good nutrition throughout her pregnancy. Now this includes good quality hay and feed, but very importantly, you need to make sure she's getting the right vitamins and minerals that she needs to stay healthy as well as grow a healthy baby. We have had some experiences in the past where we have had a low level of selenium in our pregnant does, and this has caused some issues. Now selenium is a very important mineral that is responsible for fertility and for the health of the mom during the pregnancy and during the delivery, as well as the wellness of the kid. Now, in our experience, we have had some stillbirths, we've had some low birth weights, and we ended up finding out that this was due to low selenium while the goat was pregnant. Now, when we started supplementing selenium, we noticed that the health of our kids skyrocketed. It was so much better. They were bigger, they were healthier, we didn't have any issues. So there's many ways to get selenium. You can get it in a powdered form, which we have done, and put it over their food. You can perhaps find some feed that has selenium, or you can also look on a map and find the regions of the country that still have a good amount of selenium in the soil and buy hay from those areas. That is one of the reasons we are buying hay from Indiana, because Indiana has selenium, North Carolina does not. So this is a good thing to know where your hay comes from and what's in it. So you also have to be careful because although selenium is very crucially important, you can also give toxic amounts to your goats and you don't want to go there. So always do your research and be mindful of the amounts that you give them. Okay, so your goat is pregnant, she's doing well, she's healthy. What next? So goat gestation is 150 days. So if one of my goats gets pregnant today, they will be due towards the end of April. So it's about 5 months. When they're getting close to that due date, there's a couple signs that you can look for to know that labor is near. Now, one of the signs is looking for ligaments that run on either side of their spine near their tail. And I'll try to show you where those are at. I have found that it's much easier to find it on a lean goat like a La Mancha than on the big chunky Boer goats. Your fingers just kind of sink in there and it's hard to find them. So I'll show you where those ligaments can be found. And basically, when the ligaments feel like they've been compared to like pencils, where you can feel these tight strings in there that are thick like a pencil. And when those ligaments soften and you can't feel them anymore, the labor is imminent. It's coming soon in the next, couple hours. So I'm going to show you where those ligaments are on Ruby because she's probably the most patient goat of all of mine. So what you do is you find her spine and you go down to where her tail is right here. And if you dig down in there, you should be able to feel, I know, but that's the area where you would feel those ligaments kind of running on either side of her tail. Now when those disappear, that's when you know that labor is coming, so get ready. I know, I'm sorry to bother you. So that's one of the first signs that you can see. Once the goat is in active labor, you can see mucus, you can see them pawing the ground, laying down, standing up, pushing. Those signs are a little more obvious. So those are some signs that labor is coming or actually is happening. So we just doubled our goat population in a matter of 6 days. We went from 8 pregnant goats and then 4 of them kidded. Now we have 16 goats. I want to show you what we like to have on hand, kind of our goat kidding go-to kit, so that we're prepared for any situation that might arise. We've learned to have these things on hand over the last couple years. Let me show you what we have. So these are just some gloves. Gloves are very important. Goat kidding is very messy. Also, it just helps to keep things a little more sanitary and reduce any sort of infections. This right here is just lube, and we've never really had to use it. I'm really glad. This is in case the kid is in there backwards or coming out wrong and getting stuck. This is when you use gloves, and you also will disinfect your hands and everything and go in there with the lube and try to rearrange the kid so it will come out properly. Like I said, as of today, we have not had to do this, but you just never know, and it's important to be prepared. Also, you need to have lots of clean towels so you can help dry off the babies, especially if it's cold weather and the mom can't quite do it fast enough, especially too if the mom is having multiples and those first couple babies need to get dry while the mommy's still having her other babies. So clean towels are a must. This is iodine, and this is just a little cup that I pour the iodine into. This is for dipping the baby's umbilical cord. You pour some of this iodine in this cup, a nice shallow cup, anything will really work, and you just dip the umbilical cord right after birth. This just helps to reduce risk of infection as well as dry up the umbilical cord faster. This is what we had on hand this time, and so glad that we did. This is the Kid Colostrum Supplement by ManaPro, and this is in case the mom doesn't have colostrum, something happens to the mom, the baby's having trouble eating, and you can just come in and give this. It's not as good as the real thing, but in a pinch and in an emergency situation, it's really good to have on hand. And of course, along with that, you will need a bottle. These are some other things that we've had. This is selenium and vitamin E gel, and this is something called lamb and kid paste, and it has just like probiotics and different things in there. This is if the kid is born weak and just needs a little boost, some extra nutrients right away. Those are good to have on hand as well. And it doesn't hurt to have some of these to tell the mommy that she did a good job. Ruby knows the sound of the bag. Do you want one, Ruby? Do you want one? Ruby loves animal cookies. Do you want another one? That's all for now. Nope, that's all for now. She knows the sound of the bag, and then she snorts at me. Says, give me the cookies. Okay, one more. It's like a half a one. There you go. Good girl, Ruby. Now, apart from all those things to have on hand when the baby's born, you also should have the name and number of a vet in your area. Preferably one that does after-hour calls or has an emergency number. If you're out in the boonies and you don't have a vet that provides those sort of services, another great resource is Facebook. There are some excellent goat help groups on Facebook where there are, I'm pretty sure they're vets themselves. They reply to people very quickly, and they have a wonderful database of what to do in every situation. So in this modern day, there are people out there that would love to help you. So make sure that you make yourself familiar with these resources, whether it's a vet or a Facebook group or someone nearby you that has goats, so that in case something does go wrong, you're not left by yourself with a catastrophe. Now, when labor started, what you want to see is 2 little front hooves coming out with a little nose right on top. You want to see those coming out first. If you see 1 hoof coming out, if you can tell it's a back hoof, if mommy's pushing and pushing and pushing and nothing's happening, there might be something wrong with the position of the baby, and that's when you might need to glove up and go in and assist the mom. We haven't had to do this yet, thankfully, but I know many people have had to do this. It's obviously much easier on a larger goat than some of those little Nigerian dwarfs. So this is also when a vet might need to get involved if you can't get it sorted out on your own. When the babies are born, you want to help dry them off like we talked about, and just look for any problems. If they seem weak, if they seem like they're struggling to breathe, this is when you need to act quickly, either helping clear their airway if they have fluid. You can rub them really vigorously to help stimulate them. Also, it just takes a while for kids to find their footing, so don't be too worried if it takes them a while to get up. I had a couple of my kids from Ruby that just wanted to sleep, and I had to keep waking them up to see if they were okay and trying to get them to eat. I also had one of my kids that, well, actually a couple of them, their knees and elbows were kind of bending the wrong direction, but by the next day that had cleared up. So some of these problems will resolve pretty quickly as long as they're getting good colostrum and milk from mom. Now, as far as some other things to look out for, we had a couple very minor issues with the kids that we had, and I thought I'd just share those with you. One of them was just a simple case of a dirty bottom, which honestly could be bad if it didn't get taken care of, but we noticed it and took care of it. Yes, there is a goat in our sink. This little girl needed a bath because her bottom had been covered and crusted over with baby poop. Usually mommy goats do a really good job at keeping their babies' bottoms clean, but for some reason, this little girl, she's got a bit messy, and it was actually causing her to get backed up, which is potentially dangerous. So we got her cleaned up, and after putting her back with mommy, we observed her for several days, and we never had another issue. The other one was a case of first entropia with an eyelid, and then it developed into pink eye. So I will show you footage from those things and show you how we took care of those. So this is Ruby's little girl. She's been having a couple different issues with her eyes. At first she had something called entropia, where the lower eyelid is folded inwards and the eyelashes and the edge of the eyelid can irritate their eye. So at first her eyes were somewhat shut and very watery. So what you usually do for that is you just gently roll their eyelids back open like this and get it to fold out to where it should be. So I did that, and that cleared up, and her eyes were open and they stopped watering, but now her eyes have begun watering again. And this eye in particular, let me see if I can, is cloudy and pink. So we're thinking that she has developed a case of pink eye in this eye. One of her brothers also is having a watery eye. So at first we considered just separating them and bottle feeding them because pink eye can be contagious. But I think what we're going to do instead is go ahead and treat all the kids, including Ruby. That way we're just preventing it from spreading and taking care of any problems that already are here. So what we just, we're doing a little research. We got this colloidal silver spray, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And we're just gonna spray a little in her eyes. And from what we've been hearing, people have used it on their goats, on themselves actually, and also someone said they used it on their chickens. And everybody's saying that it clears up pink eye very quickly. And since it's a natural, holistic remedy, it shouldn't have any side effects. So we're gonna go ahead and give that a shot on her, and also treat her brothers and most likely Ruby as well, and see how that does to help her eye. So whenever you're doing anything with eyes, especially when you already know there is a problem going on, like pink eye, it's always good to wear gloves. Limit how much transfer from one goat to another goat, or from one eye to another eye. So I've got some gloves on. This is what we picked up at the store. It's called colloidal silver spray. So we're just gonna hold her eye open and give one spray in each eye. And we're gonna repeat that with her brothers. So we just sprayed all their eyes. We even did Ruby's eyes like we mentioned we would do, and it was pretty easy with the spray. So we went ahead and treated all of them, and now what we are doing is we are cleaning out their heat barrel, and we're going to disinfect the inside of it with some just disinfecting house wipes to try to kill any of the bacteria that might be lingering on the walls in there. So it's been about 24 hours since I first treated this little girl with the colloidal silver in her eye. And as you can see, her eyes are a lot drier than they were yesterday. This eye, however, is still cloudy and pink, so it needs to heal a little more. But I've just been treating her. I treated her, now this is going to be the 4th time with this colloidal silver spray. So I'm just going to give it another day and see if it continues to improve. So this is her 48-hour checkup. And honestly, it looks a lot better. I don't see really any pinkness anymore, and her eye is a lot less cloudy. Let me see if I can get in. So there's no more pinkness in there. And her eyes are dry. So I'd say that colloidal silver is a pretty great way to treat pink eye. This is exciting. I guess we'll always have that on hand here in the barn in our medicine cabinet, and every time we see eye issues, we'll go ahead and treat them with that. I know. Hey, your eye looks so much better though. Yeah. So hopefully the pregnancy went well, the delivery went well, the kids are doing well. You also have to keep an eye on mom. Now, if she has 1 kid or 2 kids, you just want to make sure that both sides of her udder are being used, that one side isn't getting so engorged and uncomfortable for her, and also just to keep an eye on her udder health to make sure that she doesn't develop mastitis. If you notice that her udder is looking red and maybe the milk smells bad, that would be a possible case of mastitis, and she would need to be treated. So, and those kids might need to be bottle fed. So it's very important to just keep your eye and be diligent at looking at the health of the kids, how they're eating, how mom's doing. Also check that at first she has that thick colostrum coming in, and make sure her milk is coming in, and just make sure the whole process is going well, and intervene only when you need to, because God made these things to work out pretty well on its own, and usually they do. Also make sure that mom continues to get good nutrition, and alfalfa and some really quality feed will be helpful to help her milk come in nice and strong. So that's pretty much all I have to share, and hopefully that was helpful and informative to those of you out there. If you have any questions or any comments, please make sure to leave those in the comments down below, and I would love to respond to those. So thanks for watching our video at Honey Acres Homestead.
Thank you for checking out this video from Honey Acres Homestead. If you like what you saw here, please give us a thumbs up or drop us a comment down below.